Outlast is a psychological horror game which released way back in 2013.
No. Wait.
It was one of the first horror games that I experienced in my youth, and I got as far as the first basement section and promptly uninstalled soon after. Starting on our Outlast journey, we play as the default male character model and head towards a gigantic, massive abandoned asylum. So massive, in fact, it's actually called Massive Asylum. Grade A naming, yeah. We pull up to the Asloom in our whip, where we check our camera is full battery so we can film the violent suffering of the patients for money. And immediately after we break into the asylum, we see multiple hung bodies.
I think there's someone hanging right there.
And a man that's impaled through his anal cavity who manages to give us his last word.
You have to get the fuck out of this terrible place.
And do you think we listened? No, not even in the slightest, because promptly 10 seconds later, we get defenestrated by a massive pigman. We wake up in the main lobby with the objective of gaining access to the security control room to open up some doors. And as we do that, I'll take the time to lay out our strategy plan. Step 1, we find out what the fuck we're doing. Step 2, we get achievements. And step 3, we try not to die. And as you can probably tell, this is a foolproof plan that is extremely well thought out. Achievement wise, however, the game has 11, disregarding the DLC, because me no have that! 6 of the achievements we get through story-related objectives, and the other 5 through challenges such as beating the game on Insane, which when you die you start all the way from the beginning again. We pick up the keycard we need and head towards the security room. However, on our way back, we may or may not have made someone fall to their death. We get to the security room, but before we enter, we have a good long sniff of the hinges, and then when we do sit down, we mash the keyboard with our sausage fingers. We could actually pick up the keyboard and fling it to the other side of the room, and that would make more sense. As we're observing the security feed, the Pope comes along and turns off our power supply, meaning we have to go into some shithole dingy little basement to turn the generators back on. This is the first scary part of the game. Before we had jump scares and a scary atmosphere, however we was in no actual danger. This time there are lurking enemies that will fist you and make you their bitch. Our primary objective is to press some buttons, flick some switches, while our secondary objective is to dodge the released sex offender that is down here with us, and after we click the last switch, we get our second achievement. Returning back to the security room, we get another surprise. Instead of being the classic Scooby-Doo villain and only turning the lights off, the Pope has now drugged us and plans to transport us to his sex dungeon. We wake up feeling nauseous and pain-riddled, migraine-induced and poop-shoot fiddled. After leaving our cell, we're quickly introduced to Tweedledee and Tweedledum. Now the only thing that I could do here was examine their schlongs to see what I'm really up against. We eventually find our way out through this little crack in the wall, and as we navigate upwards, at the end we find something rather weird.
He's already dead!
Next up, we have to enter the showers, and I'm pretty sure we all know how this will go.
Hey, nigga, you got a nice little ass, nigga. Give me your ass, nigga.
As we go down the corridor, I met with an old friend, to where I respond by jumping out of the window. Shamefully, having to jump back in, he doesn't seem to mind as he throws it back. We then wake up in a gigantic pile of corpses, as if we were some background character from 300. However, waking up to King Xerxes, instead we wake up to a massive naked pigman ready to molest us. Some might say that my hiding skills are pretty lackluster, as I climb under the bed in front of him while he watches, thinking I have level 100 sneak. We do actually manage to get away though through this tiny gap, and we only did that because thankfully he's a fat bastard. We soon find ourselves in the sewers, with our objective to twist 2 valves to drain the water levels so that we can get achievement number 3. But of course it can't be that easy, so massive molest pig Mr. Guy is also here to chase us. This section honestly isn't really that scary or even too hard, as there's little holes in the wall that we can hide and he physically can't get us in there, and so we get past this bit quite quickly. Heading down the ladder, There's no danger at all, it's just very dark, so we navigate from one end to the other, and as we climb the other ladder, we spot a little friend at the top.
Hello there.
We then navigate from tunnel to tunnel to tunnel to tunnel, where there isn't any danger, just somewhat cool scenery, and more tunnel. It all leads to this gigantic pitch black room completely filled with water. However, I kind of just wing my way about, not really understanding the situation, because Mr. Pig Molestman was also down there. Pretty sure his name is Chris Walker, but Mr. Pig Molestman's way better. Yeah, he's also down there hunting you, and I'm guessing if you run or whatnot, you can hit and he chases you. I didn't even see him on my first playthrough, so he's not very good at his job. And for that, I'd give him maybe a 2 out of 10, maybe a 3 out of 10 for stealth, because I didn't see him once. But that's bad, and I'd probably be a better molester.
What do you mean by that?
Our next main section is a chase scene, which can be slightly stress-inducing, as there's these massive containers in front of doors, which are slow to push out the way. However, enemies can't really catch you unless you stand still, and the level is actually quite linear anyway, so you'll only be really moving forward. And at the end of the chase, we actually have someone help us by calling down the elevator, which we quickly scramble into. Half a second later, we would have been passed around by whatever the fuck these things are. Now you're probably wondering, who actually just saved our lives? It is no other than Dr. Traeger. You see, Dr. Traeger is actually a very interesting doctor, as he got his qualifications from B&M, and he's actually a very nice fellow. He straps us into the wheelchair and shows us all around the asylum, before finally taking us to his operating room, which then, with his high level of qualifications, he deduces that we need 3 surgeries in order to feel back in tip-top shape. Those surgeries include cutting off our right fingers, slapping us in the face, and then cutting off our left fingers. Now, before anyone judges, this is a tried, tested, and certified method used by Dr. Traeger himself. I mean, look at those results. Traeger's section, although one of the most intense moments so far in the game, is ultimately quite short. With us grabbing the key and heading back to the elevator, Traeger does try to stop us and he puts up a little bit of a fight. However, he does get crushed between the elevator doors like an absolute pillock.
He went, "Yo, that ass is fat." I was like, "This ass?" And he was like, "That ass."
We then have to twist 2 valves, similar as before, so that the sprinklers activate and the cafeteria can cease to be on fire. The first valve is quite easy, the second not so much, as that's a completely different story. But since we are simply too good for the AI programming, we activate the sprinklers and get an achievement to accompany it. The next section is outside, but for obvious reasons I'll be skipping through most of it. To sum it up, we get a key, open a door, get possessed, and then parkour like a proper fucking Spider-Man.
I'm going to die!
And at the end of the level, just before we escape, that dirty fat pig bastard appears, but we quickly leave him behind. We're then on a mission to gather the 3 fuses so that we can open this laundry chute to get the key, and once we obtain the key, we get our next achievement. But obviously it can't be that easy, because as soon as we press the button, the key falls all the way into the fucking basement. Luckily for us, there are no enemies down there, so the game did that simply for shits and giggles.
Guilty.
We then lose our camera, but not to worry, because we find it safely kept in a room full of rapists. Father Martin then sets himself on fire. I've never been to a church, so please let me know in the comments if this is normal. Pigman then proceeds to fist the shit out of us. And once we escape and get into an elevator, instead of stopping off in the exit, we head into a laboratory underground. Very Resident Evil. And whilst exploring the laboratory, expecting to find William Birkin or the G-Virus, instead we come across a ghost that does us a really solid favour by picking up the Pigman and shoving him into a vent. And that ultimately brings us to the end of the game. With 1 valve turn and some wire pulling, we turn this guy into a red mist, and thus unlocks all of our achievements for our first playthrough. The last 3 achievements are pretty simple. 2 are related to the insane mode, which we will get in a second, and the other achievement, well, I couldn't really find the footage of me doing it, but rest assured I did a glitch where you can skip to the end to unlock it, so I basically cheated.
You suck!
Our insane playthrough starts as any other. We make our way to the asylum just to be instantly traumatized. The insane run is pretty much the same as any other normal run. The big enemies will insta-kill you and the smaller enemies will just 2-tap you. Now usually death would mean we restart from a checkpoint or where we last died. But yeah, no, you start all the way from the beginning again, meaning we'll have to do this just in one go. The second achievement is where the difficulty lies, because without reloading our camera at all, most of our playthrough will look like this, or this, kind of like a yin and yang, but with none of the yin and all of the yang. Even though the achievements seem fairly difficult, we do have a trick up our sleeve. When approached by an enemy, if we just violently teabag in front of them, they become so mesmerized by our thick, juicy thighs that they just forget to even attack us. This method seems to have its limits though, because after using it literally for every single enemy in the game and making it to the cafeteria, the pigman decides to become Darth Vader and snaps my neck from a fucking mile away. On our next playthrough, we get to the cafeteria section again, and also succumb to the same fate again. I mean, who does this guy actually think he is? On attempt number 3, we actually managed to pass through the area unscathed, and the rest of the game is honestly smooth sailing, so this is what I thought was my golden run. My A-OK, my everything goes perfect, and the part that you're watching now is honestly the last part of the game where there's actually any threat, because the last section we just have to dodge the wall rider, and really I think it's impossible for him to even catch you, that's that ghost by the way, unless you kind of stand still and just take it up the rear. So yeah, the big fat pig bastard blocks me in the doorway and has me dead, so I have to start the run all the way from the beginning again. But let's look on the bright side. It can't really go any worse than that, can it? Wrong, because we literally die to the very first enemy we encounter on our next playthrough. On how? Yeah. Feeling so discouraged with the previous run, I ordered a Chinese and had one last attempt.
Eating a meal, a succulent Chinese meal.
And actually it goes pretty well. Instead of being trapped in the bathroom and fisted to death, we actually managed to escape through the corridor and through the vent, meaning our last area to get through is that wall rider ghost bit, which I mean, smooth sailing. And like I said before, we're at the last section of the game, which means there's no danger. We simply turn this valve, rip out these wires, and actually there is one danger. We have to make this jump. I've seen many people get to the very end of their run and die here. It's a very stupid death, but a death nonetheless. So
Hey, come on, baby! Come on! Yes! Come on!
all we have to do now is run to the end and press a button for that sweet platinum trophy. And that, ladies and gentlemen, completes Outlast. The game overall is probably like a 6 out of 10 difficulty, there's definitely harder, but if you enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe as it really helps out the channel, and comment down below if there's any ideas that you want me to try out in the future. Thank you for watching.